Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. I am Caitlin King-Goldfinch.
I'm Hannah Hembry Bell.
And we are Law Moms Out Loud.
Ooh, we're getting good at that. Our mission is to help lawyer moms to grow as moms, lawyers, and people. And we say lawyer moms and like lawyer mom supporters, people who have moms, dog moms. Yeah. If that's you, you're in the right place.
Today we have a special guest, Dr. Carrie Contey, who is a PhD family systems expert. We're so excited to have you here, Carrie. I'm just going to tell a little bit about the lead up of how we got you here on this show, and we're so happy about it. I've been a follower of yours for years and years. My husband Josh and I went to an event that you held more than a decade ago. That was a planning event for the year. It was like held in December. It was out at the Oasis, and it was a full day, workshop where the whole point was thinking about your year ahead and what you want to accomplish. And for me,
what year?
Oh, it was, I think I might've still been in law school. It was like, 2007 or 8 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not do a lot of, mindset, personal development work at that time in my life. And this idea was revolutionary to me, that I could be intentional and thoughtful about my year and my marriage and my goals, and just creating the space to do that was really important for me at that point in my development. And I was just inspired by you, in awe of you, Carrie. And a couple of shows ago, we were talking about kids' meltdowns. And I referenced something that I learned from you, which is sometimes our littles have these epic meltdowns at the end of a day, and it doesn't mean that we have to fix it or that something's wrong. That this just is a way that sometimes our kiddos actually process everything that they've gone through that week, and we just need to, create a container for that. And someone was like, who told you that? Who is this person? And so, yes, she's here. And so then we thought, let's see if Carrie can come on the show. As it turns out, it's perfect timing for you, which we'll talk about. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited.
And hi, you gave me permission before the show to call you Carrie, not Dr. Conti. So I don't need anybody to at me for being disrespectful or anything.
100% Carrie.
Yes. Oh, good. Well, and Carrie, I'm so glad. I loved the title of this show, because for me, like a podcast or show about parenting, I'm just like, are we going to talk about making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches into stars? Like, that's honestly like where my head goes when I think about like parenting, stuff like that. But integrating personhood and family life. Now, for me, we're talking. So maybe could you tell us a little bit about your work, like what you do, how you conceptualize your space here?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm so happy to be here. And I'll actually start, I think I remember those events and you guys being there, Kate, and you were in my prenatal parenting class when you were pregnant with your first person.
That's right.
And so I just have warm feelings about that, because it just brings back memories. So all to say, I have a PhD in a field called prenatal and perinatal psychology, which is wonderful. And when I was studying that, which is really looking at, how do we develop in the earliest, what is human development from the beginning, from even before conception, but certainly through the prenatal period, and then babyhood, toddlerhood, childhood, tweenhood, teenhood, and beyond. And so I was crazy passionate about that. I got really lucky. There was a PhD program in Santa Barbara that I got to go do.
Nice.
Yeah, incredible. And when I got back to Austin, because I had lived in Austin, left and came back, I wanted to share this information. I wanted to get the word out that babies are conscious, that you don't get a baby, you get people that, and they're unique, and they're who they are from before the beginning. And it's the responsibility of the parent to really get to know that person. And that's a process, and that's how you develop that relationship. And what became very clear pretty soon after I started doing classes and coaching with various people was the information was great, but if I didn't point the parents back to themselves and really help them become more self-aware and become more clear. So I have a really strong belief that there's no right way to do anything, especially parenting. And it really needs to be something that you create from the inside out with the relationship that you're having with that person. And you could have multiple children, as you know, and have different relationships with them. And so my work is really evolved to recognizing that, yes, the family life stuff and the parenting stuff is really invaluable. And we need to understand human development, and we need tools for being with these humans as they're growing. And we also need to be really skillful around self-awareness and how we're managing our own systems and how we're tuning in to that deeper knowing, to that more essential part of us. Like my theory that I operate from is that there's a big being in that little baby body, that there's a person, and the person is unfolding. And I like to point that toward the adult people as well, that, you have a knowing, you have a beingness that has a really clear idea of how you want to be in the world and how you want to do your work and how you want to be a parent. And I'm the person that sits on people's shoulders and just reminds you and gives you very simple and practical tools for cultivating that. To me, that's a muscle. Self-awareness, to me, self-awareness is kind of the umbrella that is even over self-care. Like I came out of grad school and I started talking about self-care, and it's so important, and here's why, and this is how the brain's developing, and all of this. And what has evolved for me is an awareness that there's something even before that, which is self-awareness, that you have to actually be skillful at even hearing what you need, because it is different for everybody. It's not a yoga class for everybody.
Stop here. Yes, I'm sure you're going to say a lot of other really good things, but like there are certain things in every show. Kate's already like, I know Hannah's going to go here.
Timeout moment.
Timeout.
I love this.
Yep. I find this so insightful. I never considered it that self-care is under self-awareness, because I ask every single person, I don't even mean to, but I can't help it, because people will say, self-care, do things that you love, do what you want for you. And I think most of us are at the point where we understand it's not just like one bubble bath and one piece of chocolate cake. Okay. Our friend Lily, she is the queen of saying that. But what I find is that most of us truly have no idea what we want, what we like, what will fill our tanks, especially lawyer moms, business owner moms who are so busy doing that we're not listening. Yeah, which is really what self-awareness is, right? It's listening to that inner being.
Correct.
Who's trying, I don't know if they're trying to talk or act, or I don't know what they're doing, but they're trying to get our attention or something. So I just wanted to point out, I never thought about it, that self-care is derivative of self-awareness, because what's care for Kate? Like a house full of a gajillion people for Kate, and blowing and going, and tons of guests, and this guest left was here for a week, and the other one's coming, and I'm just like,
exactly.
Don't you need a break? She's like, exactly. I love it. Everybody come over. And I mean, I like to have people over, but like I need a space, and I kind of like you to come over for like a couple of days, then go. And I hope you have a plan for yourself in the day, because I have a plan for myself. So anyway, I think that's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, and so to follow up on that question, because as you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, self-care. I like to roller skate. And it's, it's like carving out the roller skate moments and not having mom guilt, even if my people are trying to guilt me, because they do that. These little people, they guilt you every moment you take for yourself. But what we're talking about is so much bigger than the moments for ourselves and the self-awareness part. And I know you have a whole program helping people figure this out, and we want you guys all to hear about it. But Carrie, how do we do that? How do we become self-aware?
It's right. I mean, that's a great question.
Just please answer that for us. You and Plato and Aristotle and Dr. Contey and Carrie.
Yeah.
I mean, and Katie and all of us. Okay. That was just
I
fun.
mean, I think that it's no different than when you say, how do I become a roller skater? You just have to start practicing. Like, it's a skill set to me, and it needs to be practiced. And so there's kind of three simple ones that I start with is, and I know this is as basic as it gets, but I promise you, if you take one thing from this chat, it's it's almost silly to have to say it, but it's pause. It's just learning how to take a beat, like really practicing on a day-to-day basis, just pausing. Like,
And you did a TED talk on this, yes?
yeah, years ago. And now it's like, I mean, I've always talked about it, but now it's really become like, I did a whole series, and you can see it on Instagram or email me and I'll send you a little ebook, but it's the humanhood essentials. Like, what are these essentials that we need to be aware of just to be a healthy present human? And the number one is pause. And I say, you know, when we pause, we slow down to the speed of knowing. Like, it shocks me every time, and I'm the teacher of this, but every time, if I'm about to teach a class or I need to write that email or whatever I'm up to, if I just if I don't pause and I start doing, I miss out on a certain level of clarity and wisdom that is always available, but there has to be space in order for it to be known. And the more I practice pausing, the quicker that knowing comes through. So pause is one. The second is learning to check in with ourselves. I call them my gauges. Like, where am I in my brain? Like, I study the brain, and I know that sometimes when I'm really fueled up, I'm very human. I can access parts of myself that are very creative and very articulate. But as soon as I start to get depleted, I get cranky and whiny and tired because I'm not operating from this fantastic neocortex. I'm in a more emotional brain state. And then when I'm really overdone, I fall into this more reptilian place that's fight or flight. And it's that shutdown. And then all of a sudden, I'm either cranky out to the people around me, or I'm putting it on myself and feeling guilty, or, you know, criticizing myself. So the checking in, how's my body? Where are my emotions? What's my emotional weather? Where am I? It's so simple. Where am I on the continuum between wobbly, which means like I'm not regulated, to steady, which means like, yeah, I'm flowing. Everything's kind of grooving. And that's my responsibility to learn how to know when I'm in alignment and when I'm out, and then what to do about it. So pause, check in. My other big one is appreciate. Like, when I can pause, I start to notice all the good stuff, all the dreams that I've made happen. You know, you're lawyers, you have beautiful humans in your life. Like, if you really just stop and look around, and we get out of what I call the group soup, which is the, you know, the swirl of the world out there, and we get present and we get aware of ourselves, then we start to notice, oh my gosh, like, this place is really quite like, we're human, we're miracles. And then intention, you know, really setting an intention. How do, you know, you have lots of hats that you have to shift in and out of as moms and lawyers and partners and all the stuff that you're responsible for. And when we can pause, check our gauges, appreciate for a moment, like, okay, this is where I am, here's what I'm amidst, and then set an intention. Oh, I'm going to be mom in a little while. How do I want to be with these people? Who do I want to show up as? I set the tone. You as the adult and you as the mom are the ones setting the emotional tone in the family. And like Kate said earlier, when these people are growing, the young people, and they're out there doing life, and they're spending all of their emotional energy to sit still and do the work and do all these social things at school, they're coming with an empty fuel tank. And if you show up with an empty fuel tank, they don't go, oh, mom, you look really tired. Why don't you go take care of yourself? I'll get a snack. No. They just immediately, by looking at your pupils, by looking at your skin color, they can read where you are. And if they sense that you're depleted, they don't say, okay, take a break. They amp it up, and they'll do whatever they need to do to get you to express what you might or might not be aware you're actually feeling.
Yeah,
How's
I know
that?
like in the morning, because the kids get up at 7, the big kids get up at 7. And if I come down the hallway, they usually are out because they have little phones, they can set their own alarms. And if I either am downstairs before them and in the kitchen already doing and hello, my best friends, how's everybody? Or even if they're already in there and they beat me in there by a few minutes and I come down almost like Skippy, hey everybody, what is going on? Just that little upbeat smile tone.
Yeah.
It does change the way the morning goes versus like,
exactly.
What do you want? Huh? What? Why are you already talking to me? I need a minute. I haven't even had coffee. Feeling it does change the day. That intent of slapping the smile. Glennon Doyle's book, right? She in one of her books talks about just serve the peanuts. Keep serving the peanuts. Where the flight attendants on the plane, and when the plane's going down, they're still smiling, serving peanuts.
That's hilarious. Yeah, and it's not about being fake. It's about really knowing like, oh, I'm really tired. Okay. The minute you name it, the minute you say where you are, you have a choice. But when we don't take that moment to be aware and we think, well, I'm fine, but then you're trying to get the kid in the car and they're freaking out and you're just getting more and more frustrated, you think, oh, if you could just calm down, I could be a good mom right now. But just doesn't work that way. They're trying to handle themselves. And the only way they're ultimately going to learn how to do that is by watching adult people who are at least intending to figure out how to handle themselves. Right. And so it's a wild thing because they're absorbing and they're wiring their own ways of being based on the people that are around them, especially around how they handle their stress and their emotions.
Well, and I actually had something happen today that I was going to share about, because I think with multiple children as moms, we can get so focused on being taskmasters and problem solvers and handle it, right? Like, okay, here's this thing that's occurred. I got to deal. That's how I think a lot of being a mom, or, I'm sure being a dad in their own way too, feels. And for me, the mindset personal development journey really began in this year in 2022 for me. Really waking up to awareness. I'd always been drawn to it, but didn't have guides and teachers. And I'm glad to know you because you're clearly
way into it.
And as I'm becoming more aware, self-aware, and understanding what that even means and trying to listen to my inner knowing, it's changed me. I'm not even, I don't resemble to myself the person I was in January. So with that, I'm trying to also show up more authentically in my relationships with the kids and not just be handle it mom. Like, okay, I handled this. There's part of it. But like, for instance, today, my son called and when I get a call from the school, I'm like, what is my initial reaction? Because I just have a long history of lots of calls from the school, and they can vary in what they want up there. And I took a second. Okay. And it was my son, and he was calling because he wanted to hear about the weekend. What was going on this weekend? Because he was just feeling stressed. It's just a regular weekend, nothing really going on. And he's, I was just, and I showed up with that presence to listen. I said, what's got you stressed or something like that? He said, I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm worried. I had the chance to share with him that just within the last month, I had the experience of feeling really good externally and joy coming to me. But then something on the inside felt scared of that joy. And it created cognitive dissonance in my mind from external joy and an internal fear that then I was going to lose the joy. And I told him, I said, that's, in my subconscious, I realized it was doing, that's your subconscious telling you, hey, things are going good. So I'm sure it's going to go away. We have to be afraid, but you're experiencing joy. So it's about being aware and saying, hey, actually subconscious, this is just a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going anywhere. So he was at school in between class. I'm so glad he was able and willing and wanted to call me. And I was so grateful that I showed up and could share a lesson with him. I literally just learned it at 39 years old.
Yeah.
So if he could learn it at 13, and I guess I'm saying I am just now seeing what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Bringing that awareness forward. Not why, and he even said, Mom, I'm sorry I called you in the middle of the day, bothered you at work, which I'm sure in other times I've said, I'm in the middle of a work day. And sometimes that's the right answer to whatever the problem is, but it was transformative to me and made me feel so grateful and like I was my real self as a parent. Because I feel like so much of my parenting journey it's been on me, not in me.
Right. Wow. Beautifully said. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I just really heard that you had enough awareness when the phone rang, you caught your initial reaction and you slowed yourself down. You know, again, it just takes a millisecond to pause and go, oh, right, this is somebody I love and they're asking me, they need something. I'm going to be open-hearted. You know, I don't have to task it. I don't have to, keep it moving. I have to pause and really hear what this person, because you could have easily dismissed it, but you went deeper. And how, like, that's what we're talking about around stringing. I talk about like stringing beads on a necklace of moments of that's what relationships are. And when you have teenagers, especially, that's what you're doing. You're just looking for those moments of connection. It's not going to be all the time like it is with a 5-year-old, right? Like, it's just different.
Well, and being just like that's one of the things I think that divorce, an unintended consequence of divorce. I'm a divorce lawyer. I am divorced. And one of the unintended consequences is you as a parent quickly begin to understand that these are not little puppies or little beings that are derivative of you.
Right.
They go off to someone else's house for big periods of time and they don't need you and you're not even there. And they have their whole own life experience. And really, they are just little sojourners. You're just a guide for a little smidge of time and it's gone. And that's what I always say, the open system family, right? When divorce comes in or whatever, it opens it up. And to see them as little people. And if you're having little people, if this is a real little person, how would you want to be treated if you called a person in your life and said, like, I'm really stressed?
Yeah.
You're like, there's no need to be stressed about that. Everything's fine. Like,
right.
Versus, man, I felt that way before too.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. And showing up like that. I mean, I did. So we've got one.
We've got one. Yeah.
Ringing the bell
every day. I already did my gold star.
Yeah, you got your gold star. I think this like prescription from you, Carrie, is so helpful. And I'm as you're talking, I'm remembering all of these like Carrie nuggets of wisdom that I have just like packed in my brain over the years. And I'm remembering one other thing you taught us years ago that I think fits in here about when we are unable to escape our children and we are in this part, and it's like, and we are feeling extremely frustrated and might like lose our shit, and one of the things that you taught us is it's okay to say, like, to the sky, I am so frustrated right now, and like, if you have to have an expression because you can't, you're not in the space, you haven't had a pause, you're in the wrong part of the brain, you can't escape, ways to just like let that out.
Exactly.
Because sometimes it's just impossible. You know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, our nervous systems get overdone.
Yeah.
For all sorts of reasons. But when you're with your little humans, they can just hit that little button and then you're gone, and you don't want to yell at them. That's not, who would ever think, oh, I'm really excited to yell at the person that I love more than anything on the planet, right? And they equally are not thinking, oh, I want to annoy the person that is responsible for helping me live. Like, nobody's trying to be unsavory, and yet because we're human, because we haven't evolved beyond our reactivity, our triggered reactions. We do have to let it out sometimes. And it's so human. And for first of all, you know, you've heard me say a million times, like, go for 1 out of 50 times. Like, if you can like be about to yell at your little person and all of a sudden go, oh, I can't yell at you, I'm just going to yell at the sky, this is so hard, parenting is really hard, I don't know what to do right now. That is a gold star, because you are taking it off of them, because they're not making you feel that way, but they're evoking that feeling. You know, it's in there. You're overdone for whatever reason. It's human. And so by you saying, I can't yell at you, that's not fair, and just moving it, that's amazing. And it's okay also when you do mess up on the other 49 times and you do put it on them, to go back and say, you know what, that is not how I wished I had done that. Because the repair and the honesty of, I screwed up, this is what I want to do next time, and then intending to try to do it differently, there's so much grace, and there's so much there's a different quality of care that can come through that. And so
I love the model.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I do is sometimes, and I do not follow me for parent tips, but one of the things that feels good to me anyway is saying sometimes to kids, and they're getting at it, I say, you know, y'all, I'm not feeling my best today. I really do not have the capacity to address y'all bickering. And I'm just going to ask you to please, as a person, can y'all please today be easy on mama?
Right.
I just need you to be easy on me today. And to show up and to say what I need, because I'm a real person.
Yeah.
And then to model that for them. And then on the back end, if I am whatever, to say, you know, guys, I'm sorry. I was short-tempered earlier, and I love y'all, and I don't want to be that way. I'm really sorry. I didn't do that good.
Right.
And that's the lesson, right? To say what we need from people we love, and go up and say we're sorry if we didn't do our best.
Well, because here's the thing. Our children, we're raising resilient people, right? They're going to go out there in the world and they're going to experience explosions of anger, people dysregulated. And if they have never witnessed that at home and seen how a repair is done, they've never gone through the process of being resilient through that. And so we're modeling for them how to, you know, navigate the world out there. That's what I tell myself.
No, that's true. And then on top of that, I mean, like, truly, that is a definite byproduct. And you're helping them learn how to manage it in themselves. Like, nobody learns how to play violin by only watching the pro who never makes a mistake. Like, you learn by learning how, so being overt with your, you know, saying, I know you want me here, and I will be so much better if I go do the thing that I need to go do to take care of myself. And then you come back and you're lighter and you're more present, and you say to them, I really know it's hard when I step away, but I am enjoying this time so much, and I'm really here with you. And you actually guide them into not only seeing that your relationship is better for you knowing you, but you're also encouraging them. You're speaking the language of self-care and self-awareness that you are going to hope they speak, so that when they become adults or when they're teenagers, I mean, like I say all the time, you can't prepare them for the world that they're going to live into. Like, we have no idea what technology is going to be. We have no idea what the political system is going to be, but you can guide them into knowing themselves. And the only way you truly can do that is by being a person who practices that kind of self-awareness.
I cannot think of a better gift we could give them.
That's so pretty.
There is none.
39, or I guess I was 38 in January, when I just started to begin to learn what people meant when they said knowing yourself. and awareness. When I really started to learn that, 39. And most people I interact with on a daily basis, I think, don't do this even a hoot. So the idea that, like, to raise, and everybody watching or will watch later or whatever, raise people that if our real job is to raise people who know how to tune in and know themselves and show up as their real self, and then that's it.
That's the answer.
It seems
That's
to me.
it. I mean, and so how do you cultivate that and make it a priority equal to exercise? Or, you know, how do you go above the exercise, the meditation, and really make the practice of tuning into yourself and hearing and pausing at times when your child says, can we have that sleepover? And instead of wanting to make them happy or reacting all like quickly, you say, you know what, let me pause and just take a second with that. Like, that alone is modeling something about tuning in. And so you have to practice it when you're not in the stressful situations. So the day to day, you know, it's like running drills. Like, that's what I do. I help people do the practice drills so that when you're in the game, you can pull out your skills and you have a little more facility with the actual interacting of others. Because if you don't know where you are, and then you've got other people, more than one, coming at you, it's really hard to tune into that place. And that's what your kids need. And it's not something that most people are taught before they have children. So that's what I'm trying to do. Right.
That pause thing is really important for me. My mom always says, you're not transition sensitive. And I know what she means.
Oh, interesting.
But, and she said, and everybody in your life is transition sensitive. Like all my littles, my husband. And so, cause I can go one thing to the next and not even take a breath. And the pause is so unnatural for me. And I see the value in it. Even just now, Hannah and I are very like remarkable tablet people, you know, so we were talking about our remarkables, and I was complaining because on this thing, you have to like close this notebook and open the other notebook, and it's not exactly as fast as I want it to be. And Hannah said, it's just the moment. Like, just enjoy.
That's the point of it. Just let it take a second to open.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Use it as
remarkable for feeling a little old school for a minute. I would not like that notebook open immediately. I'd like you to take a second. Because I was looking for the quote from Viktor Frankl. And I'm sure you've heard this before, right? Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, that pause, is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom.
Exactly.
And it's that pause, right?
That's it.
I think that's a pretty old guy, philosopher or something or another. And anyway, that pause is our power.
It is.
And not just in parenting, but if you pause, in my house, I say, I'll consider it. Like, I'm going to consider it. And they'll say, you're not going to consider it. And they've learned, I'm like, you've asked me before, and I do consider it. I'm not going to answer that right now. And that takes some steel guts with a kid in your face, you know?
Totally. I have a friend that says, if you make me answer now, it'll be no.
Yeah.
So like they learned, like, let me have a moment. And that has to be not trained. I don't love that word, but you have to model that. You have to practice it. You have to hold the boundary more than once and see the results. And so, yeah, I do mean that when I say, if you take one thing from this chat, just making a micro bit of space around transitions, around responding to things, around your work, like, what a gift to the people around you if you can just find that little moment. And I set a timer. I'll set a timer for 30 seconds sometimes. You know, it's not like I'm sitting here meditating all day. It's really just getting in the habit of noticing before I do something 1 out of 1,000 times a day. Just take a moment, like, let yourself settle, let yourself catch up to yourself, right? Like, we can be out of ourselves all day if we never take that moment and just pause.
Yeah.
Well, and I was had to stop myself a second ago from asking, okay, teach us how to do that. And then I was remembering, Carrie, I know that you've got a mindset, a mastermind, a course. And I mean, I think that, can you tell us more about that
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah. And
world?
that's what it's called the Humanhood Collective, and it's a 9-month group coaching program. So basically I have 6 topics that we're going to explore over the 9 months. So we dip in and out of the learning, and I'll give you a little overview of the topics because they're really juicy. But then there's day to day, I send emails of little things to remember, little things to try, and then writing prompts. And they're very simple, but they're ways of checking in with yourself. And so, here, I'm the person that does this. I've been doing it for multiple decades, and I need a group. I need a community to get myself accountable to taking those steps, those actions of doing my daily check-in. And it changes how I operate. And so that's the day-to-day. Then there's Q&A. I love answering people's questions. I could do this all day. I could sit here all day. It's my favorite thing. So once a month we'll do a group Q&A. People send me questions. That's like batting practice for me. I love it. But the modules are really they're really about how am I handling. So triggers, that's the first one. How am I handling my stress reactions? How am I handling when my people are stressed? And then how are we operating as a unit around things that we can't predict are coming? Like if we learned one thing in the last 2.5, 3 years, it's that on a turn of a dime, life can be different. Mm-hmm. And it's most of us don't handle that well. We didn't get wired to handle stress. And so when you take 4 weeks and really look at like, how do I learn how to be with my stress so that I can help my people learn to do that for themselves? Like that's a big piece of being a parent, is helping your system stay regulated and learning how to re-regulate, and then guiding your people in doing that. The next one is steadying through the holidays. I feel like one of the things that's emerging, I think, in our world is an awareness that we don't have to keep doing things the way they've been done. We need to choose for ourselves. And to me, when you're ending the year and reflecting on what you've been doing, and then you're moving into this season that is can be very intense, a lot of the times it's really easy just to do what's been done, and you're buying the gifts, and maybe that feels good, maybe it doesn't. And so what I'm going to do is walk people into it with more awareness, with more intention. Like, what does it really mean to us to celebrate the season of the holidays? And then we'll have a break, and then we come back and we're going into the January, and it's all about like, what's this year about? Creating your year. What do I want to give energy to? What's the mindset I want to take into it? What are the projects that I want to give energy to? Do I need to be full throttle on my self-awareness and self-care? Is it time to write that book? What are the practices that are going to fuel me through the year, steady me? How do I want to expand? And then we're going to do the same thing, but with our relationships. What is it, these humans, the people that you love, the partner, the children, whoever else, they're not who they were. They're at new phases. So how do I want to show up for them and with them at the ages that they are this year? What are some of the things that we want to really consider as a family? And then the spring is about looking at our boundaries around technology. Like, I think that we need to get in a yearly habit of considering, how am I interacting with these devices that I can just consume 24 hours a day? I could be on a device, taking in information, connecting with all sorts of things, and they're beautiful. They're amazing tools, but I know I need to pull myself out of it at least once a year and really examine my habits and ask myself, is this how I want to be doing it, or would I like to try something different? And then finally, we'll do another seasonal, how do I want to go into summer? Summer's such a unique time of year, it's such a shift for the whole family. Even if you're still working, it's still a shift. And so really asking yourself, how do I want to flow into that? It's really just about practicing being intentional and practicing being self-aware and really moving it from living by default to being in creation mode. And really, in my experience, both personally and with all the people I've worked with, the depth of delight and like richness of self and relationships just expands. I mean, I think I hear you both saying that. The more aware I am, the more I feel present with my people, and the more I notice, oh, I really wanted to be, I really wanted to feel present and peaceful because I set that intention, and oh, look, I'm feeling that. And then it becomes this beautiful feedback loop because you thought about it, then you did it, and then you reflected on it and you realize I'm rocking it.
And I think the other thing is it feels more authentic. I don't know. I never said before out loud about parenting that was on me, not in me. And that's what our friend Laura talks about, the distinction. And for me, the concept or the experience of trying to parent as my real self makes it a very different feeling experience. It feels like it adds to me, doesn't just take from me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd love to say one more thing, and that is that one of my little jokes, but it's not really a joke, is that I really almost wish we could take the word parenting out of our vocabulary, because to me, it creates this pressure for it to be something versus just being soul to soul, being human to human, and realizing, okay, well, I'm in this adult body version and you're in the kid body, but for most of our time together in a very short amount of time, we're going to be humans together. And I will need to let go of the role of parenting. So what if I start operating human to human now? And I think that's what you're saying, right?
That's so cool. I never considered it. I mean, I didn't even know I was having this thought until we're talking about it.
I realize we always are like, we have these moments where we want to cut out this show and do little shorts, on social media. I'm like, there's a short. Like,
I think Carrie says, please chop it
off. Going into this show, I thought, I know you're amazing. And I was thinking, I have so many programs. I don't know that I can fit another program in, but hearing you talk about your program, I'm like, okay, well,
there we go.
Room for another program.
The investment's real reasonable. Just practically speaking, Carrie, do you want to share how that works?
How the whole thing
works? Like the money investment, I'm calling it an investment.
Oh,
I mean,
how much it is. It's an investment. So it's $1,800 for the 9 months of support. Or you could pay $225 a month. So, it's not teeny and it's not huge. It's different for everybody in that regard. But what I will say is, it's a lot of people ask me like, I don't think I have time. And what I keep saying is the truth about the way I operate and what I offer is that by sitting down with my email and taking that 5 minutes while you're drinking your coffee, it's like, and asking yourself, okay, how am I going to care for myself today? What do I need? What's my intention? What am I appreciating? By doing these little tunings, I call it tuning in and tuning up, you will start to operate at a totally different level of efficiency. So yes, you're taking time out, but the time out is actually, in my opinion, creating more time because you're getting more clarity around how you want to be maneuvering and relating and doing your whole life. So, and I mean, think about it.
Speed up. Yeah,
exactly. And so, especially with, I just love talking about triggers and stress reactions and things like that. And to me, like, when people stop and actually examine, like, how am I handling life to these people? Am I just reacting and then feeling guilty and saying sorry? Or am I noticing and learning to name what's going on in me, noticing how to tend myself, and then ultimately transcending those reactions. Like, that's the beauty of it all, is we're not stuck doing how we've done once we shine the light on it. Then we actually start to have choice. And it's almost silly how quickly things start to change once you have the awareness. What did you say?
I'm over talking. I lectured all of us about don't over talk on this.
I want to hear.
I'm the worst, but like, is it right? I think it's right. I guess I'm asking for you to confirm. It's never too late.
Never too late. No, that's the beauty of life. There's only now. And so that's the other thing, is how do we get present? Because you could spend a lot of time regretting the past. You could spend a lot of time worrying about the future, and both are taking you out of this moment. So I help people get here. Like, let's be here. Let's string a bead, one little bead of connection. Oh, I haven't, it's like, I've said this for years, but all these relationships are like spinning plates, and some of them are rolling and you just can let them go. And then a couple get wobbly and you need to give it a little energy, but you can only notice that if you're tending yourself enough to stay present to so it's like me, you, me, you. Like, it has to start in here. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
And to that end, I guess one of the things, Kate, that we're doing with the show, we now do this on every week, is one of our questions we always asked is, what was our dominant thought of the week? And to know what your dominant thought was, what's that thing? I just, a friend had brought that up to me, and like, what's the thing that sticks in your mind that your brain's noodling on all week? That takes a level of awareness. So maybe we're not lost causes, Kate.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So I don't know, Kira, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you have a dominant thought from the week that's been sort of circulating?
Yeah, to be honest, because I am in the midst of sharing this program, it's, how do I convey the value of this? It's so easy because there's so many things being offered out there, and it's such a big concept. And that's the thought, is, how can I offer people an awareness that this is going to add monumentally to their experiences? So
pretty good job.
Yeah, that's why I need you guys to interview me every day.
Yes, put our show on your, email or website or whatever.
Totally. I will. This was great.
I mean, it really, that what we were talking about before is, if anyone's just curious about this, sign up. I mean, it's the cost of like a nice gym membership. And the other thing that I think is great about you, Carrie, for those of us, actually, I'm not in this camp anymore, but for many of my years was in this camp, who were a little bit like, if something felt too woo-woo, I was skeptical, even though my mom is the Crystal Queen Good Witch. Well, maybe that's why. But anyway, I was, I had the skeptic in me. And, you with your training and your PhD and your knowledge of the science behind all of this, it makes this content really approachable for everybody, regardless of how they feel about mindset and personal development.
Exactly.
Stuff,
Yeah. And that is sort of my essence, is like, I just want it to feel, it's humanhood. I'm just trying to help people find more well-being, and that is different for everybody. So I keep it as simple and essential as I can.
Well, and I think anybody watching this, and we are at this point, Kate, purveyors of coaching and just like people trying to tell us how to behave.
Right.
And to me, this is about the best dollar for dollar thing I've ever heard of.
Yes.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I mean, that's it.
Wow. And I promise you, like, it's going to be,
we have to do it.
It's going to be good. It's
We'll
going
do
to
it.
be
There we go. 1 and 2.
good.
Two more.
Yay! Fire moms, let's go. And then let's do a retreat. We'll do a big retreat. Like, all the fun stuff can happen.
Can you see
how does that retreat?
I know. Come to Maine.
Let's do it.
Maine next summer. Let's go.
Amazing.
Hey, Maine. Laura. Our friend Laura lives in Maine. Especially so. Anything to get us out of here.
Yeah.
In the summer.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
What's your dominant thought this week?
So my dominant thought is relevant, and it arose when it was on Sunday night, and I was looking at my phone doing okay, what do I got to deal with tomorrow? And I looked at my calendar, and I think I texted you this, and I said, I have a gentle day tomorrow, and then I thought, wow, make all my days gentle. This is a decision. I'm just going to
I love that.
Day.
Yeah, gentle day.
A gentle day is that's a good one.
Yeah. I don't even remotely remember the last time I had a gentle day.
Oh, well.
Ooh, that would be a fun thing to create.
Yeah.
So I've been tracking the gentleness of my days. I mean, it's only been a few days, but Monday I had, a reasonable amount of meetings and appointments and tasks, and nothing that was too draining on my spirit.
Yeah.
And then throughout the week, I've had to deal with, like yesterday, I said I slayed a bunch of dragons yesterday.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Day. And so in retrospect, it was not a gentle day, but I probably could have approached it with more awareness of going through it with ease and gentleness for myself, despite the fact that I was doing big things.
Yeah.
I love that.
We should support each other, and Law Moms and Carrie, you're invited also. You please join Law Moms Everything.
Okay.
That how can we, like, on my to-do list today was to be gentle with myself.
Oh, there you go.
I when I'm really like trying to help support, the best advice I can ever give somebody with a hard moment is be as kind to yourself as you would to your best friend.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was the energy I tried to bring into this day.
Yeah.
So maybe we can help each other stay accountable to, is there anything that you can do? Even if you can't have a gentle day, can you find a gentle hour, a gentle 10 minutes for yourself?
Gentle pause.
I love that. Well, my dominant thought, this is turning into my literal favorite thing that we do, is talking about what was on
the best
mind this week.
Good one.
And
it's really good.
This, I sort of alluded to it earlier, or didn't allude, I talked about it, is it the concept of joy. And I had considered happiness and joy in a very like Northeast Texas, Southern Baptist, joy comes from the Lord, happiness is fleeting. I mean, literally that's about the extent of all the things I knew about it. And as I've become more self-aware and learning about this, I realized what I shared with my son today, this space from experiencing joy externally and internally being afraid of it. And I would feel good, really good things were happening, but inside it felt bad. And I'm like, this is insane. And it would create this cognitive dissonance. So one of the things I'm trying to do is watch for what I enjoy. And this has been bubbling up in me. Like I call things for my own sake. For my own sake.
Yeah.
Because so often I just give, whatever. And never really consider, what do I actually like? Like Julia Roberts in the movie, like, I don't know how I like my ex, sort of. And for me, as I'm doing that, I've realized that, especially when I've noticed something really feels like joy to me, to get just a smidge of it, I'm willing to do whatever to get the smidge. But this week for me, there's that, my favorite, it's official. My favorite poem ever is Mary Oliver, Don't Hesitate. Are you familiar?
Yeah. Do you have it? I would love to hear it. If you have, do you have it, baby?
Will you pull it up, Katie?
Yes.
I'll read it for you.
Okay. Cause I would love to have it. I would love to hear that.
She's a great poetry reader.
One of the things in me is I've always, if you were to describe yourself in 10 words, right? Like one of those words, my whole life would have always been poet. But I always would say I'm a poet who pens no verse, right? Like, I mean, that feels like who I am, but that's a bunch of BS because I do absolutely none of it. So let me share this, and then there's a follow-up. So let's see if I can get through this without crying. Don't Hesitate by Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. And anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. And holy crap, I just realized, don't be afraid of its plenty.
Yeah.
Mary was talking about it. I swear, I read that 1,000 times. It just hit me. The fear of the plenty. She knew what.
Yeah.
That's what I knew. So for me, just that last line of joy not being made to be a crumb. And I think her point was to seize joy, to seize magic, to seize lightning when you get it. And I take that to heart. But then at the same time, and not, I guess not being afraid of his plenty, that's going to rock my world. But for me, feeling that joy and then want to latch onto it. Also, I was realizing I was willing to accept smidges. So I guess I wrote a poem. I didn't know I was. Now, I can't believe I'm going to read mine after Mary's. That's like not really fair.
Not fair to you.
It's all joy. I'm all in. I want to hear all of it.
But this was my dominant thought I wrote in a poem last night. Haven't read it out loud. So, no crumbs by me. For a while, the tasty morsels were manna, fuel, dessert. I savored each bite as if it were my last. I said grace and thanks for the plenty. Amazed, I discovered such abundance. And then I looked up. With new eyes, I saw the feast above me and realized I'd been surviving on table crumbs. Delicious, sure, but nowhere near enough. So I dropped the crumbs and made my way to take my seat at the head of the table. So for me, that's the dominant thought is, yes, joy and the crumbs of joy in little smidges can be delicious, but I deserve a feast. Katie deserves a feast. And Carrie, you deserve a feast.
Everybody
watching deserves a feast of joy. And crumbs are not enough for me. And now that I know better, I must do better. Yeah. Maya Angelou tells us. Apparently, I'm just a person who just quotes poets.
I love it. You're a poet, Hannah.
Give me a little beret.
Yeah, I like a little beret.
I want to say something because it's so relevant to all of this and it kind of ties it all together. I mean, that's where you started with the story with your son. Like this is beautiful. But what I've come to know deeply is that we have to create the condition. The joy is all the time, everywhere. It is. We are. But it's a frequency. It's a broadcast. And when we're focusing on a lot of the stuff that brings us in another direction, we miss it. And so what I do, both personally and with the people I work with, is help you learn how to tune to joy and so that it is just raining. It's just glittering every moment. And it's that necklace. It's like the beads, and it gets faster and there's more. And it's just this feast, like you're saying. It's so relevant to what you're like. You're so on it. Like you're so tapped in, and just keep writing the poetry. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks, y'all.
Yeah. And one last thing is, that was amazing. That was very courageous. I loved it. To be able to do that. I want to come back at some point.
Yes.
And talk maybe tomorrow. And talk about this idea of holding the flow and the joy, because I think you're not alone at all in your awareness that there's this it's not innate. It's not who we ultimately are, but there's a lot of the way we got wired in our culture that is scared when it gets too good. And we can easily think, well, the shoe's going to drop. And then that instantly takes us out of it. Mm-hmm. And so learning how to how to hold more, how to create a deeper channel for all of it, because you have to be able to hold the hard stuff. And the more you can do that, the more you can hold the really joyful stuff, because life is just going to be that forever. I feel,
teach you, Carrie. They don't teach.
What did you say?
Enjoy. They don't teach.
No,
you
I know. Trust me. I know. I mean, I had to figure it out. I mean, I grew up with people that were joyful and celebrated, but it was very much like, okay, it could go bad. It could go this way. It could, so it had to be rewired. That's what I'm saying. It had to be we have to rewire it. And it's not hard to do. It's just deciding and then practicing.
You need to put that, I'm looking, Katie has a screen over here. If trigger, instead of, you need to make one that says, learn to enjoy joy.
Ooh, and module.
Yeah, well, that'll be, that'll be woven in. But I think in the new year, really getting people to get clear of like, what am I going to play with this year? And that could be what you play with. It's like, I am going to maximize the joy. I am going to learn how to stay with it and not let myself go somewhere else when I'm really feeling it. Like, I know there's crazy stuff happening in the world right now, but it does feel like there's a little more settle than we've had in a very long time. But I don't think as many people as in my world, I would hope, are settling into that, because we're so wired to be looking for the bad thing that's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a perfect moment for people to really pause and like really cultivate that skill of like, okay, in this very moment, life is really good.
Yeah. And it's what for me, tied it back to, am in the process of tying it back to, let's be honest, is lack mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of just I need enough to survive.
Yeah.
And being afraid, it's being afraid to want.
Right.
Because if I want and don't get, that feels junk. Mm-hmm. And I can't want because there's not enough,
Like, that's another thing I teach people. It's like how to dream. Like, you actively many of us have to learn that it's not just okay, but it's really necessary to let ourselves dream, not for the, oh, it'll be better down that road, but, oh, it's so fun to imagine. And then when you look back and you see, oh, that was a dream and now it's my reality, and you start to catalog that, you start to realize like, oh, I need to dream, because it's not putting something out there. It's tuning into something that already has the potential, and I'm just giving it energy.
Yeah.
I'm just giving it awareness. And then zoop, there you go. Start a law practice, have more children, like whatever it is. It started as a thought. And if we most of us have the thought and then we instantly trip around, oh, but how's that going to happen? And then we stop it, when if we just learned how to be in the joy of the thought, that's another reality. That's a whole different way to live.
Oh yeah. I want to do a whole I want to do a whole show on joy.
Yeah. Ooh,
Feel
Let's do it. That's like one of
yeah.
my specialties. I love joy.
Yeah, let's do
that
it.
I know of. I mean, I've not heard of that. So, okay, now we made our other parts. As far as let's do what we're reading real quick.
Okay.
Of just in general, give people some book ideas. What are we, Carrie? Are you reading anything right now?
I'm not reading anything specifically, but I did read an article today that I just happened to click on. It was on The Atlantic, and it was like 7 habits of people that enjoy older age. And it really was obvious, like, don't smoke, beware of what you're drinking. Like, it was the obvious exercise. But then there was one that really stuck out, and it was more about learn how to be self-aware. And it was just this really like it was affirming all that we're talking about of like, we have to keep being vital. We have to keep learning how to be excited about being alive and how to be in the aliveness. And that thrills me. Like, that is so exciting to kind of puzzle that with other people and help create the conditions that we don't know. I mean, I'm 51. I could be here another 100 years. We have no idea how it's going to go. So what am I going to do to enjoy it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Oh, I
that's
love
cool.
it.
Yeah.
All the joy. What about you, Kate?
I'm still reading some of the other books we talked about because I don't know. I guess I'm being slow, but the one I'm going to share today is this breathe.
Ooh, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and it's all about how old human cultures understood the necessity of nose breathing, and so even Native Americans, certain tribes would close their baby's mouth, and it's just part of culture and humanity, and it's been lost in our culture. But the health benefits, health body mind benefits of breathing through our noses are scientifically documented, and so there's this whole movement out there of people taping their mouths shut at night. I've started to do it, and I've noticed a difference in the way I feel in the morning. You think you'd be claustrophobic, but it's actually very calming and relaxing to me anyway. So anyway, this is a cool book.
Great.
How about you, Hannah?
Yeah, so I started a new one last night. Joseph Campbell, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And this is a book, Carrie's put her hand to her heart, like a very treasured book by a lot of people that last night I've been trying to think about what to start next, and we have these big bookshelves in our office and just tons of books in there. And this one drew me to it. And I said, okay, I think it's time. And the concept is about the stories that are common to the human experience as deduced from analyzing myths and religious stories and the human experience, and what's that common story. And I think the idea is that it's the hero's journey.
That's right.
That's what's the elements of every story. That's what makes like Star Wars movies so great. They follow sort of that overarching arc, I guess, of stupid thing to say, the arc.
No, that's right.
Of the human experience. So I'm just in the beginning, and it's one of those where you read and you're like, ooh, I gotta read that again.
Yeah, I know.
Through. So y'all, I'm gonna be talking about this one for a few weeks, I'm sure, on the show. Like,
Amazing.
I'm still reading this one. Okay.
I have a feeling Kate's mom has a lot to say about the hero's journey, knowing who she's friends with.
And this one. She's got a lot to say about this breathing.
That's awesome. I love it.
Okay, rounding us home, gold stars. I think I already did my gold star. It was also a mama person kind of gold star. Carrie, you have a gold star, a mom person or lawyer gold star?
Yeah, it's gorgeous here. And one of my intentions this summer was to sink in and savor and do something summery every day. And I did it. And today I got up and I rode my bike down to the water, and I sat there and just watched the early morning sparkles. And it just like checked that box on, okay, I'm doing the thing that I said I was going to do that brings me joy. So there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, love that. Kate, what about you?
So mine's in the mom category. Smart parenting move. When you have an infant, our family created a private YouTube channel where anybody who took a good video could dump it, grandparents, etc. So now we have this library accessible to us online of family videos, and our 10-year-old found them, on the Roku and started watching them. And we've had a blast a few nights in a row watching old videos. But the reason it's a gold star moment for me is because in watching the videos, I feel like sparkly joy and happiness about my babies. I don't feel angst that they're not babies anymore. I don't feel embarrassed about the way I was being a mom in the videos, or it's just like, I've just appreciated and enjoyed these memories. And that, I think, is evidence of growth for me.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, thank you yesterday, Kate, for doing that to get you here.
Yeah, that was so smart. Totally.
Oh, Kate does have legit. Kate has really, really good random tips that are really good ideas.
I
believe
be
that.
a right person, but
don't even. I told her, listen, one of these days she's gonna switch over to the iPhone, and then she'll eventually have to come crawling in here with her hat in her hand, like, Hannah, I'm sorry.
You're right.
Kate's in her own mind, she's like resisting the man by not having the iPhone. I mean, forget all this.
Totally get it.
It's the man who's not even the man anymore. Bless him. Anyway, okay. This was.
Love it.
I mean, it just keeps getting better.
I know,
and
this is
better.
so
Like
great.
awesome.
So fun. You are fantastic.
I love this, and I really legit. Our team, if anybody's watching this, just go ahead and send Carrie the book, the next one, link as soon as possible.
Let's go. I'm in. I love this. This is my thing.
Get us. We will post in the comments, everybody, the way to sign up. Join me and Kate. This is a no-brainer for me.
Wow.
Maybe something we do with our partners too.
Oh yeah,
that's a good idea to
very
tap
idea.
in and do this and join us to do it. We're all in. I'm all
Well, and I'll say,
awesome.
I know this, Carrie, because I read your email about it. This is a program for anybody. You don't have to be
Anybody.
You
Correct.
don't have to be in a partnership.
Yeah. Right.
And it starts like next week. So
it starts the next, not this coming Monday, the following. So you do have to jump in. If anybody out there wants to chat with me one-on-one, just reach out. I'll give you guys, it's just carriecontey.com. You'll put it up there. But that's, I get it's a commitment, and I have all week and weekend, this weekend and next, to make time for people that really need a little, they just have personal questions. I'm all in. Like I get that it's a big decision, and I want to make sure people make it really consciously, and I want to be able to give them what they need to make that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just thinking about,
I can say it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of people at my firm who are watching this. I'd like to talk to y'all if you want to do it. I'd like to help support you, and at least for part of doing this. I'm willing to put myself behind it for y'all too.
I will say the same thing, y'all at my firm, if you're interested.
That's amazing. Wow, that's beautiful.
I think it's going to be that valuable, and we love our teams.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Woo. This was really.
You're my new favorite people. I'm so enthralled and in love, and you are just brilliant. And this is such a treat. And I could not have asked for a better Friday.
Oh, it was great.
Thanks for joining.
I know, and I was feeling I mushed my way into Friday. I told my husband I'll be the one army crawling up the steps at the end of this day.
Now you're gonna be like, woo!
Yeah, and I'll probably slow walk, but I feel full.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. Have a good weekend, Carrie. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.